Hello and welcome to On the Counter on Sportskeeda. We're going to look at the top 6 clubs of the Premier League, not the current standings because that would include Watford, but the top 6 from last season. Of course, that is Liverpool, Man United, Spurs, Chelsea, Man City and Arsenal. Now, of course, before we go into that, we've got to talk about the results from last weekend because the start off the headline really is Manchester United already getting their first defeat of the season, 2 games in. And Jose Mourinho is already under pressure. We were expecting this, Jack, really, weren't we? Whenever that first defeat was going to come for the Portuguese man, we were kind of expecting the media at least, and maybe some of the United fans will start to ask for his head.
Yeah, the pressure's been there, though, since the summer. You know, Mourinho hasn't got what he wanted. You know, the board and the communication between the board and the manager isn't there. The players aren't happy. You know, Paul Pogba is the captain at the moment, but even he's coming out and saying, you know, things aren't right and we didn't...
He's no Roy Keane.
Well, he's even went on to say that we didn't, prepare for the game as well as Brighton did. I mean, what's that all about? So there's definitely, issues going on, and people always say, it's Mourinho's 3rd season. This is the time when it's worrying whether he'll stay or not.
Do you think Mourinho's got a future at Man United? When do you think... I look at this compared to when Chelsea's 2015-16 season, because it was that first half of that season when you guys were defending the Premier League title. I remember Mourinho losing 9 or 10 games even before Christmas, and these were to teams like Bournemouth and Leicester away, etc. And it just really got really bad for Chelsea, and he was gone by Christmas. But then he went to United 6 months later.
Yeah, the thing is that I think when Mourinho went to Manchester United, I think he went with the mentality that he was going to be there longer than what he's done before, which is 3.5 seasons. He went there thinking, I want to be here long term, and that's what he started it with. But the issues that he's had in the summer have sort of elevated the issues that are there, and whether Mourinho can stay there and deal with this is another thing. That the people he's brought in aren't happy at the club. And let's not think he brought in Lindelof.
He
brought in Bailly, and these are the 2 that have got the most criticism. Over the weekend just gone against Brighton. So, there are real big issues at Manchester United right now. So, will Mourinho want to be a part of it, or will he be happy just to take his pay and disappear? Who knows? It will be interesting to see. As a United fan, Jamie, I'm not sure which way you're going at the minute. Mourinho in, or
I'm going to stick by him. Probably because there's nobody else. But no. In all fairness, I do believe in Mourinho, but I feel like this is when Mourinho's got to realise that it'll keep happening this for him if he goes to other clubs, because maybe his attitude needs to change. I'm not sure. Stop moaning, get on with it. I don't know. It's one of those, but in my eyes, I just think if he goes down this road again, 3 seasons and he's not even finished it, and he goes, it's just he's not proven anything. He's not. I think his reputation will get worse, and maybe he won't get the big jobs anymore.
I think with Mourinho, he's missing that glint in his eye that he had.
It's been gone for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, the Porto, first time at Chelsea, and Inter Milan. I think as soon as he went to Real Madrid, especially after the first season at Real Madrid, it just sort of disappeared, and he lost enthusiasm there. Went to Chelsea. He called himself was it the happy one when he came back?
I think he did.
He didn't use the same terms as what he was before.
And when he came back to Chelsea, it was like God came back to Chelsea.
Yeah.
That's how he was praised, and you don't see that anymore.
No, and I think I don't want to say he ruined it by going to Man United, but I think some of the things he said didn't help with Chelsea fans. But he's still looked at as the best manager that's ever been in the club, no doubt. He gave us everything. So
that's the thing with Man United. We seem to take all your people, don't we? Matic, Mata, Mourinho.
Thanks.
Quite a few there. I could take. You did take Varane off us, but Sebastian Varane wasn't that great, so I laugh at that.
Oh dear. But yeah, I mean, I think he just needs to change his mentality a little bit. Stop moaning about other people, stop degrading the players, the board, the club, and just take a bit of responsibility for it. He's brought in these players. It's not just the board, and take responsibility for it and move on. Be a bit positive, even if he's not. Just lie. Make it look positive, because I think that's the most important thing. The way he just depresses me, it would depress the team.
Moving on, well, talk about Man United's game, because they are playing against Tottenham Hotspur, and this is a match normally at Old Trafford where Manchester United go on to win. They beat them 1-0 last season from a Martial goal, but that was it really. It was a bit of a dull lunchtime kickoff, I remember, from last season. But for Spurs, 2 wins out of 2, and they've got to prove a point really. If they really want to contend for this Premier League title, it's matches like this where they need to go to Old Trafford and make a statement in front of their rival.
100%. I think obviously the fact that Spurs didn't buy anybody this year, that's been leaning towards it. And fans weren't happy with the fact that they didn't bring anybody. Obviously they kept their best players, which was important. They got this whole nonsense of the stadium going on now and how that's not ready and how they're still at Wembley. Obviously this is at Old Trafford, so they don't have to deal with that to an extent, but that's still on in the background. So I think Spurs need to sort of prove as to why, because for the last few years they've just been the team that have almost got there. They've almost won something. They're close, but they haven't done anything. So I think these are the type of games. Yeah, you're expected to beat the likes of Fulham that they did the other weekend, but these are the crucial games against Manchester United at Old Trafford. That if you win them, the mentality certainly changes in the dressing room, and I think Pochettino needs that because they haven't won anything since he's been there, and I think that's a real shame. He's a class manager, is Mauricio Pochettino.
He is. And whether he'll continue. This could be his last season. You just never know.
Yeah, so I think they really need to change the attitude and make sure that they win this game at Old Trafford. Sorry, Jamie.
Okay. So your prediction: Tottenham win?
I think if Tottenham really want to push on, I think it's close actually, because I think Tottenham really need to prove a point, like you mentioned, but I think Manchester United also have a point to prove, a different sort of way. But I think they need to show the fans, especially at home, that they can do something this season. It's not just going to be poor for the whole year for you.
Now this room is very warm right now, and really the team that is hotter than the sun is Manchester City. They're going to Molineux at Wolves, of course. The last time they played at Wolves was, I believe, back in 2012. I think it was a 5-1 win there, and I think that was when Man City were on the verge of winning the Premier League title for the very first time. 6 years later, they've won three. They've won 3 Premier League titles, and it could be the same result maybe. But Wolves are trying to be determined to stay up. They got their first defeat over the weekend. Man City, though, how can you stop this team? They battered Huddersfield Town without Kevin De Bruyne, a hat-trick from Aguero, and they still win 6-1 at home.
Yeah.
Wow.
This seriously is. It's going to be a difficult test for them. Obviously it helps that they're playing at Molineux. I think the game against Everton, the fans really got behind the team and really helped them to get something out of that. But when you're playing Manchester City, I think if Man City get the first goal, that's it. Then it's going to be difficult for Wolves to get anything out of it.
I feel as though the occasion might beat Man City though, because Wolves haven't had a top flight proper. This is the biggest game of the season so far, and I've been to Molineux a couple of times, and it is a loud stadium when they're behind the team. Maybe once they get a good start to the game, this is where Wolves can feel we can do this. Even if it's 1-0, we can get the win. Even a draw can perhaps still feel like a win against the best team in England right now.
I think the best way about going about it for Wolves is to try and stop Man. Obviously, it's going to sound weird, but just try and stop them scoring. If you get to 70 minutes and it's still 0-0, that's the best outcome. I think for Wolves is to maybe nick a goal at the end. I think Man City are so used to winning at the minute, 3-0, 4-0 with ease and getting a goal in the first 20 minutes. If you can stop that. And I think that's going to be good for Wolves. Try and get as much as you can out of it.
Let's move on to your team. In case you're wondering, Chelsea is Jack's team. I know, God rest our souls. They are travelling to St James's Park. Now, Newcastle are quite a bogey team for you guys, ever since I've been watching these two together, because I remember even the days when even Mourinho's first time at Chelsea, he would never seem to beat Newcastle, whether it was home or away. Even draws happened. I'm not saying that'll happen this weekend, but what happened last season was pretty dreadful at St James's Park,
we don't really want to talk about that. Last game of the season, lose 3-0. We were so poor. Antonio Conte's last game in the Premier League, and that was the weekend before the FA Cup final. And I wasn't promised. I went to the FA Cup final, and I wasn't. I was thinking, oh no, why have I paid? Why have I paid to go to Wembley if this is the performance that we're going to put out?
At least you paid, and I didn't. Or I would have wasted my money instead.
I think this will be a little bit different this time around. I think if we end up winning the game, I think it'll be a bit harsh on Newcastle, because the first 3 games to get no points out of it would be pretty bad. I think they've done pretty well so far, and the fact to get nothing out of it, they should have got something maybe out of the Cardiff game. But I think we will go out to win it. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be 2-1, but I think it might be a 1-1. Newcastle getting the first goal. and it won't be till like the last 10 minutes that we'll nick it. But I think, obviously at Chelsea we're still trying to get used to that system. Sarri has only been there almost a month.
Chewing cigarettes already.
Yeah,
what a guy.
Just over a month. We're just getting our best players back. Hazard got 20 minutes the other day, so I think it'll be it'll be close. I think it's never good for us at St James's Park, but I think we'll just get a 2-1 victory.
Okay, and the next one, Arsenal versus West Ham, a proper London derby, you could say, where Arsenal first 2 games in, I mean, very tough, isn't it? To host Man City, the best team in England, as I've probably said too many times. The United fans should not be saying that. It's hard to try and not say it, but as you do, yeah, well, it's tough. It's tough. It's really tough. Manchester is red because we beat them in the most recent encounter. That's all that matters. Arsenal taking on West Ham, and no points in the first 2 games for both. But for Arsenal, Emery's not going to be delighted with the way it started. But when you're going against Man City and away to Chelsea, and him being new to the system, new to the league, it's always going to be a difficult one. But this is a must-win for Arsenal. I mean, when you look at the 2 teams, they should win this. Yeah,
well, yeah, they should win this. But again, it's a must-win actually for both of them, because West Ham haven't started the best either. No. They haven't got any points out of it. They lost, convincingly to Liverpool, and they just haven't hit the ground running. Pellegrini, first season, a load of new signings. Again, they need to hit the ground running. I think both of them are sort of in a similar situation, really, both managers. So, but Arsenal are at home. This is a better game for Arsenal compared to the first game of the season against City. Like you said, you never want to play the previous champions of last season as your first match. So this is the best chance for Arsenal to get their first win of the year. And if West Ham can maybe nick something, that's a bonus, I think, for them. But I think Arsenal win the game 2-0.
2-0. And will Ozil be the assist king that everyone really wants?
I doubt it. I doubt it. I think maybe what they should do,
even if they win, he'll get heavy criticism.
I think that they should take him out of the side and make sure you try and get a system that puts both Aubameyang and Lacazette in the team. I think that's something that Emery needs to. Why has that not happened yet?
I don't understand.
I don't know.
Even Wenger didn't try that. He signed them both.
As soon as Lacazette comes on with Aubameyang, something happens. And I don't think Lacazette wants to just be the impact sub. He doesn't want to be the Olivier Giroud of what he was at Arsenal. So I think they need to find a system where both of them are working. Have Mkhitaryan in there as well, and just try and get something going. And I don't think Ozil really has done enough for the last 3 years, really, to deserve getting that spot every week. So it'll be interesting, but I think Arsenal should get the victory in that.
Precious times for Mr. Ozil. And our final game that we're going to look at is the Saturday evening kickoff, and Liverpool host Brighton & Hove Albion. Now, we're recording this when Liverpool are travelling to Crystal Palace as we speak in the Monday night game there for the match day 2 fixture. But Brighton, we already know what they can do by beating Man United. But they played wonderful. They are probably one of the teams to watch out for this season, especially at home as well.
Yeah.
They did that last season where they just made it look like home in the Premier League for Brighton, and teams like that can be in the league for years to come.
Yeah. But what worries me is the way that the fixture is, and it's at Anfield, and coming off that great home victory against Man United is obviously going to be a positive. You're going to go into that game with a bit more confidence than you would have done if you'd been thrashed by Manchester United at home. But so they're coming in with something. But going to Anfield with probably the second best team in the league right now, it's going to be seriously difficult. And I think Brighton might struggle in this. And as much as the confidence of winning the game against Man United is going to be there, I think Liverpool are probably going to end up winning the game 3-0, and that hurts me as well.
That's quite a statement.
Hurts both of us, I think.
It does
if
a bit,
Liverpool win that match, but I think they will.
Offense.
Yeah, if you're a Liverpool fan watching
no
this,
offense.
No offense, but I think it hurts the both of us. So, but as much as Brighton played extremely well, and I think they gave everything against Manchester United, it's going to be difficult at Anfield.
Hopefully Brighton can just somehow...
If they nick a 1-0, that's great.
That'd be great. Yeah. We'll see.
Come on, Shane Duffy.
We're not an anti-Liverpool video. I promise you that right now on Sportskeeda. But anyway, that's it for this week. Thank you very much for watching the first edition of On the Counter. Remember, of course, to comment your thoughts on what we've discussed below on Facebook, and we'll see you at the next one.